How's it going, fight fans? It's your boy Joey G back from Wrestling Headlines, and we are joined today by a very, very special guest. He is a star in AEW and the new master of the Diamond Cutter, might I add. We are speaking with QT Marshall. QT, good morning, sir. How you doing today, bud?
Good. How are you? Now, normally it's a little too early to correct you to Marshall, but we'll let it slide right now.
Well, Mr. Marshall, I apologize, but I'm happy to be speaking with you today. Listen, you have had a, dare I say, wonderful career when you look at it on paper. And it's like before you even got to AEW, things that you did in Ring of Honor, you've had some mighty fine accomplishments. And the first thing I wanted to talk to you about was actually the documentary film that was about you that came out in 2017. It did really well. At several festivals, including San Diego Comic-Con. Do you have any vast memories of shooting that documentary? And can we ever expect another documentary like that about your life or career?
So I think the best answer to the second part is that we're living it right now.
Mm.
And we're getting to see it, especially getting the opportunity to do interviews like this. And, we rarely hide stuff from, the fans. But it's a crazy story, man, that the kid that did he's not a kid, he's a grown man now, but the gentleman that directed the film is just a friend of mine's younger brother that went to film school and just wanted to do a documentary on wrestling. And he came to the Monster Factory at the time, watched one Saturday afternoon show that we did. And I was wrestling Damian Priest at the time, and we were taking some crazy bumps because we're good friends. And he decided he didn't want to wrestle anymore. So then he asked if he could document my life. And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. Just don't bother me, right? Like, don't make it affect my life, but whatever you have to do, we can do. And, when I remember when the WWE pulled the tryout from me, which is like the big dip in the movie, I thought it was like a terrible thing. And he thought it was the greatest thing that ever happened because it really gave the movie some emotion and stuff like that. And I think that's what, really helped get people excited about it when they saw it and made them connect. And that's the biggest thing that we do in wrestling and in general. If you can connect with an audience, I mean, it'll really help you out. And there's a lot of, I mean this in the most humble way, but also there's a lot of failures out there. I was one of them at that moment. So I think a lot of people can relate to that. And then also just the idea of not giving up. And there's a lot of people that want to do that and can't. But for those that think like that, don't ever stop, because sometimes you just have to endure everyone else.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think you are living proof, QT, that that door may have closed in that day, but you opened up, or you kicked down 10 others and continue to prove all of the doubters wrong. So yeah, congrats on being able to overcome that moment and have this wonderful, because I did watch the documentary myself in prep for this interview.
Sure.
And it really is a wonderful piece of work, and it's exciting because the film ends and we now know what happens to your career years later. So that's super, super exciting.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned kicking down doors. I created my own door by moving and opening a school. Sometimes they don't want to let you sit at the table. You just got to make your own, and then make it so good that other people want to sit there, or they want to take you with them. So that's kind of what happened. So I'm very fortunate.
Well, that's good. Well, now reflecting back, kind of to add on and follow up with the question, your very first match in AEW, you got to team with Cody. I believe that was your very, very first match on an episode of Dynamite, or at least your big first televised match where you guys were tagged. Yes, first big televised match. You got to tag. You got a wonderful reception from the live crowd. You pop everyone big with some of your very versatile maneuvers. How did that feel? Was that vindication or validation that everything that you had worked for was finally paying off?
Yeah, I mean, the story that we told that night was that MJF picked me as Cody's partner as kind of like a joke, and I thought we told that story really well by just how we started the match and how we led into everything, and even me tagging myself in at the end and just doing things that no one had expected. I joke about it, and I've even shared this on Twitter before, but I can hit that move without touching the ropes easily. But that's not the story we were telling. The story we were telling was that I was almost shocking myself. And it just made for a really fun moment. And yeah, I mean, I remember going back to the locker room after that, very emotional, because, to go from them chanting, who are you, and Cody's partner, to chanting your name in the matter of 8 minutes, 9 minutes, it's really something special. They kind of turned on me after that, but no, I mean, I think once they understood that, oh, okay, this is who this guy is. He's, he does know how to wrestle. He is, somebody that is fundamentally sound and all that stuff. But for that one night, it was definitely something really, really special. The fact that I got to do it with Cody, who is the person that kind of opened the door for me to get into AEW on the back end of that side of things. It was just really cool. Something that, we always joked about. And, we never thought it would actually happen, but I guess the story fit for that moment, and it worked out. So it was very surreal. My wife was there. My dad was there. It was pretty cool.
Oh, that's really cool. It was a wonderful story indeed. I seem to remember Cody being moved to tears post-match in an interview. One of those moments that reminded me of that AEW is operating at some type of different level, in terms of storytelling, character, all these things. So it's really, really cool to see. You already mentioned earlier about the Monster Factory. I know you're still teaching / training / coaching at the Nightmare Factory. What has that experience been like? Are there talents maybe that we haven't seen on TV that you're seeing improvement on, or like what are your overall thoughts on that?
So, I mean, again, not having a gig in wrestling and knowing that I could coach, and I say that humbly, but also knowing that there's different ways people learn. And again, this is the only thing I'm good at in my life, I believe. So I study it. I really pay attention to it. And I really try to break everything down. And, I always thought that, okay, I don't have a name, at least not compared to the likes of the other people that were in the Atlanta area at the time. And I just said, if I just teach the right way, and then I try to get as many opportunities for these athletes as possible. And we add other things that other schools don't offer. Like my wife's a nutritionist, so she handles the nutrition aspect. We offer strength and conditioning, just all the stuff all the tools you would need to become a professional in this industry. I thought that would really help out. And it did. It took off. And of course, AEW and Cody stepping in has really put it over the top. Yeah, we have a lot of athletes there. We literally are a factory. Every 12 weeks, we get another 20 people in there. We're fortunate enough to have the trust of AEW. So anyone that they send us, like Jade Cargill or Satnam Singh, Anthony Agogo, any of those athletes, we are fortunate enough to train them as well. And, we just try to teach the basics, because once you can learn the basics, you can forget about them when you go out there and actually wrestle, and it's just muscle memory. And we really try to teach that. A lot of the athletes that we, kind of have like a lot of the athletes that we've invested in, let's put it that way, are ones that you've seen on Dark, the Renegade Twins or some of them. Rekka, she's another one that came from Salt Lake City, and she came over here, and she's really, coming into her own. We really try to go above and beyond with the female talent to make sure they have a safe place, because wrestling can be a little weird like that. So we just try to let them know that, the sky's the limit. And the best part about having Cody there is he's somebody that has lived it since he's 18 years old. And he can really explain to them, the idea of that this is real. There's real money to be made. It's a real job. The wrestling is just a little part of it. So you have to really do well on all aspects of it. It's really cool. It's really exciting. Even to begin training Hook, right? Like, that's a huge thing for someone that their dad is a wrestler. You know what I mean? Like their dad could definitely have trained them, but I think, he saw the value in us training them, at least from the start, just to kind of break them in a little bit. So yeah, I mean, it's really cool to see people succeed, or to get people that have trained elsewhere and then really kind of change their mindset, or just teach them how to be professional and get professional gear and look right. And just all the stuff that comes with being a professional in this industry.
Spoken like a true pro and a true great coach, because it really is nice to see the talent get developed so well. I mean, every time, I watch Dark and Dark Elevation on a weekly basis, and I see these same people, and each time they get better and better. So you guys are really hammering down some good tactics over there, and it's exciting to watch. Now, you brought up Hook.
Yeah.
You guys had like a little butting of heads on TV. Is this are you planning to exact any revenge anytime soon?
I mean, I'm just trying to talk some sense into the kid. And I mean that with all due respect, because he's an adult. But, everyone to me is a kid. Yeah, I mean, when he first started, he was staying at my house, ordering his Zoe's Kitchen. Uh, and then I don't know what happened. I mean, he went to the team to go train with his dad and, their little Team Taz dojo, which I've yet to see, but I know there is one because I have seen videos. It might just be another facility. Who knows? Anyway, I do know that his whole mindset has changed. His attitude has changed. And, again, when you win a match, I feel, even as mean as I am, you can leave the guy alone afterwards. And after he did that to Aaron Solo, I got in there and just tried to talk to him, spun him around, and, he got me. I'll admit it. And then this past week, again, I'm just trying to explain to the audience, because the audience is really behind this guy right now. And I can't comprehend why. He does have really nice hair. He's got a unique look. He's different than everybody else. But at the same time, he's breaking all the rules. And I don't know if we're going back to the attitude era of wrestling where the bad guys are cool, but I kind of see myself as a bad guy. And every time I go out there, I hear QT sucks nonstop. So I don't know. I will say this, if I do get the opportunity, I've probably forgotten more than he's ever learned. So, and I don't know, maybe his dad, maybe his other people he trains with have really, they're working hard. I mean, he's obviously doing something right because he looks incredible out there. So it's just a matter of time. I don't know if that's the fish I want to go after right now, but I'm just trying to talk some sense into him. And he just seems like he doesn't care about hurting me.
Well, talk sense into him, QT. In fact, get a brush. Tell this kid to comb his hair. Teach him a lesson, because I don't like the way he's stepping on toes and thinking he's Mr. Somebody after only several matches, although very exciting to watch.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Like a phenomenon. Literally, everywhere we go, we get We Want Hook chants before we even go on the air. So nuts.
Now, listen, aside from one more question about Hook, aside from your personal beefs with him, is it interesting to you or to anyone else backstage in AEW to see that, like, there was like this sort of social following with Hook that, like, I guess you could almost say started almost as like a meme. And that maybe kind of led into some of this huge fan following, because I think like the buildup, the anticipation of his in-ring debut was, very noticeable. I mean, they did very good numbers on Rampage when he had his first match. Like, I guess my question is that something that you or anyone else in AEW is aware of, like the social media buzz that a guy can get?
Yeah, I mean, I think Cody did an interview recently where he, with all respect to Hook, he kind of related it to Fandango. Like Fandango, the night of WrestleMania, the night after WrestleMania, was the most over guy in the company, right? But, I don't know what happened there. I can't speak to what happened there. I can speak to, the ideas and ideologies that I think Hook has for himself and Tony probably has for him. And it's just about, keeping him special. I think that is because he does have something, and he, good looking guy. Like you said, cool hair, different. There's a mystique to him. He's not all over social media like crazy. It's just all the stuff that intrigues people. And that's a huge, huge thing in professional wrestling. I think the moment, we let everyone in on what's going on is the moment that they stop caring. So, I don't know. It's still unproven, but he's definitely off to the right start.
Well, listen, QT, I really appreciate you taking the time speaking with me, Joey G from Wrestling Headlines. I only have one more question for you.
Sure.
And this involves another matchup that you had going back. The talk of AEW since August has been the return of CM Punk. And, he hasn't had very many matches since coming back. But you got to be one of his opponents in that time in a very, very competitive matchup. I don't think anyone expected for you to take him to the limit as close as you did. And he ended up picking up the victory on a last second fluke, let's call it, because we know what actually happened. Was there any type of, I don't like keeping using the word validation, but it must be nice to be one of Punk's first opponents after the guy has not wrestled in 7 years and given him a really, really good match. I just wanted to know your thoughts on getting the chance to step into the ring with him.
Yeah, I mean, I forget where we were the week before. wherever we were. I was getting ready to go out there to do something else. And Tony pulled me aside and kind of gave me the heads up of what was going on and that I had to go, do this promo and all this stuff. And I was thinking like, okay, let's hope deep down, let's hope this isn't what I think it's going to be, which is, ding, 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 finish, 1, 2, 3, story is MJF and Punk. So I know I'm just a vessel to kind of continue their story. But I also want to, have fun and prove something, because if not, I'm not saying it's not worth getting in there with CM Punk, no matter how long the match is. But at the same time, that spot could be given to someone else if that was the deal. It wasn't the deal, though. We kind of spoke about it, and I kind of understood what the things were that we were trying to get across. And yeah, I mean, to know that he had to go through the segment before that, which was like 20 something minutes of banter between him and Max. And I know he's a very old school kind of guy. Like, let me just hear what you're going to say or do, and I'll feed off of that and the energy and this, that, and the other. And I'm a very old school kind of guy when it comes to in-ring stuff, especially when it's my turn to take over. Not too much inside baseball, but when it's my turn to take over, I like to just kind of free flow and see what's out there and see how the fans are reacting and try to bring them up and down as much as I possibly can. It is hard because on paper, you kind of know what the outcome is going to be, but it's our job to try to change that, right? Like on any day, anyone could win on any sport, any wrestling match, whatever. So that's kind of the mindset. I was really proud of that, to be able to go out there on live TV and kind of, just free flow. And at the same time, I know he was really happy afterwards. We were able to go out there, do what we do, and both of us were okay afterwards. No one was injured. He did get the win. The story was told. And at the end of the day, I know there's a lot of people that, because I do read Twitter, there are a lot of people that weren't happy the fact that we went as long as we did. But at the end of the day, there's 1 million people watching. And if 100 of them are upset, I don't care. And that's really the biggest thing I try to, put in my mindset, and also in the mindset of our athletes, or anyone for that matter. If you're out there, it's not a real universe. It really isn't, if you really do the numbers. And to go out there and be able to have that chance, and a lot of it just relies on the fact that I'm fundamentally sound. I'm not going to injure anybody. I'm also business, so I understand the business. I'm not going to go into business for myself. There's just a lot of trust that goes along with having that kind of an opportunity. And I think that's the biggest thing when you get a guy like Punk or Bryan Danielson or any of these major stars that they're coming in. They want to be able to trust everybody, because I'm sure in the other place they were at, or for whatever reason, trust is a huge thing with these guys. And the fact that I do work with them behind the scenes as well, I think it was almost a matter of, a lot of it were positives for him, and he knew, but also it was like, maybe I could throw him a bone. You know what I mean? Because I'm sure, I don't know how it works with him. I know how it works for me, but I'm sure he probably has a little bit of say in who he gets in the ring with. So I think it just goes to show you, how much I am trusted, even just not behind the scenes, but in front of the camera, in the ring as well. So yeah, it's pretty exciting. It's definitely, I've had a lot of cool matches and, history making matches in AEW, between the bunkhouse, the first ever strap match. I was on the first ever Blood and Guts with Cody, in the history making All Out, versus CM Punk in his hometown, Mr. Brody Lee's first match. Like, for some reason, somehow, I'm always in these, what go down as historic matches. And I think it all comes down to like I said, the same thing: trust, fundamentally sound, and yeah, the fans hate me, so they want to watch me get beat up.
Well, listen, just to reiterate, I thought the match with Punk was great. I thought you guys told a wonderful story. I think you continue to tell wonderful stories in the ring, and you are as a delight to talk to as you are to watch in the ring. So thank you very, very much for joining me today. Is there anything you'd like to plug before we get out of here?
Nope, just keep watching AEW. And for the fans out there that love AEW, the one thing I tell everybody: tell a friend, man. Those Nitro parties used to be a huge thing back in the day. Just don't keep it to yourselves. Tell everyone about us. Let them know how great it is. It's like old times, watching the wrestling you grew up loving, because that's kind of what we try to bring to the table. So it's really, I'm not a selfish person. You find me on social media if you want. Tweet at me, be mean to me, whatever you need to do that day. But yeah, just keep watching and keep enjoying the product. And, we're still building. I mean, we're only 2.5, 3 years in. So
they're only mean to you, QT, because they would like to be you. That's the truth. They
hey,
know.
I believe
They
that.
know it. I know it. We know it. Listen, man. As a kid that grew up a huge WCW fan, this is some of the most exciting wrestling I think I've ever gotten the opportunity to watch.
Sure.
And anytime I get to speak to talents from AEW, it's the same thing. There's an excitement. But very much like you, there's a business-minded professionalism, and it's just really exciting to watch. And I look forward to what the company has done in 3 years. I look forward to what they're going to do 5 years from now. So, and you're a big part of that, and I look forward to what you do in that time as well. So again, thank you very much for joining me, Joey G. Thank you, QT. Goodbye and God bless.
Thanks, Joey. Appreciate it.